Welcome, everybody, to FEI, Freight Executive Insights. I'm Mike Vincent. I am not the freight executive, but this guy is, and this is Brad Hackett. He is the Director of Recruiting and Retention for C1 Transport. Those are two pretty important things, right? Recruiting and then retention, right? You can't have one you can have one without the other, but it just makes it more difficult, right? It's hard to retain if you don't recruit, and it's hard to keep recruiting when you have 110% turnover rate. But Brad, hey, welcome to the show, brother. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Mike. Super happy to be here.
Fantastic, brother. Where are you guys located at?
We are right in Joliet, Illinois, right outside Chicago.
Oh, right. Joliet, Jake, and Elwood Blues. One of the best movies, if you ask me, is the Blues Brothers. I love that stuff. I don't know if you're old enough to remember that movie, but it's fantastic. It's a musician's movie. I'm a bit of a musician, if you can't tell from behind me. Tell everybody, who is C1 Transport? What do you guys do? How many trucks you got? What are you guys doing?
Yeah, C1 Transportation, been in business a little over 8 years. So the owner was an owner-op back in the day and came off the road, expanded the fleet, the good old American dream trucking story there. So 8 years in business, have been everywhere from kind of drive-in, reefer, and specialized now, really factoring in specialized in open deck variety freight. So really looking to grow that open deck variety. We're about 150 trucks now, and I'm brought in to help grow that bad boy. So happy to be here.
Wow. So 8 years, 150 trucks. So it's all specialized type of stuff, right? Heavy haul, heavy haul, oversized, that type of stuff.
Yep, just the kind of variety of open deck within there. Yeah.
Yeah, all that fun stuff. That's really highly technical. People think they can just get into that. Even brokers think, well, I'll just broker this.
Right.
Nah. You
They
screw
see
that up in a
the high
heartbeat, right?
dollar and then realize all the intricacies there.
Yeah, it's a little bit harder than just having some guy driving around with a flag in front of the truck, right?
Right. It's not a dry box for sure.
No, it is definitely not the same. You guys hit any bridges ever?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
You don't have to answer that. I'm sorry, Senator. I do not recall, right? So how did you get into it? The guy was an owner op, man. That's got to be pretty cool in the recruiting trail. How did you get into it?
Yeah, I was just brought in, good mutual connection and looking to grow. So I spent the first decade in trucking all on the ops side of the business. So getting to know different variety of operations, went from dispatcher to director of operations. And then the last 3-4 years, I've been in this sector, shifting over to the wild world of marketing, recruiting, onboarding, and retaining drivers here. So
Okay, so you were the guy that was like socializing on the dock and all that other kind of stuff, and decided that, you know what, let me socialize with drivers and bring them in here, right? You were the.
absolutely.
I mean, that's. I mean, right? That's what it comes. I mean, that's what I was. I was the ops guy all the time, but I absolutely was a closet sales marketing guy, right? But I mean, you embrace it, and you get stuff done because what you're doing is incredibly important stuff, recruiting, right?
Yeah. That's what I love most about like my sector of the role is I get the unique opportunity to help brand the company, help market to bring the drivers in, make sure they have a great onboarding experience and that we get to sell exactly what we get to deliver from an operational standpoint. So gathering all that data, getting the messaging correct, and then ultimately that driver culture that I'm incredibly passionate about is taking care of drivers, having them a good solid home that they could come in, make a good living, be treated with respect, all those good things. So my role kind of gets to touch so many different departments and bring all that together to create and promote and grow a great driver culture.
Yeah, that's incredibly important, right? When you're talking about recruiting, is that back end. We talk about recruiting and the difficulties in recruiting. We can get into that a little bit because I don't know how difficult it is right now, but imagine it's as difficult as ever right now. But the retention part of it, right? I mean, is it? How do you look at it? Do you look at it at 60%, 70% recruiting, 30% retention, or is it both equal 50-50, or is it 70% retention versus recruiting? What's the magic formula, do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a mix. The more you can retain, the less you got to recruit. But
Right.
just we're never going to be at the spot that you're just going to keep all your drivers 100%. There, it's an open market. That's part of the great thing about our country, our industry is everybody has that opportunity, and you gotta be in retention mode every single day. So to answer that question direct though, the more you can slide that on the retention, the better. but I would love to be 30% recruiting and 70% retention.
Yeah, right. I mean, because it's so much cheaper to retain, right?
Yep.
And I would imagine that the service of the company that you provide to your clients, to your customers, it waxes and wanes with your retention, right? I mean, less retention, less service, right? Because you got, not that you have worse employees, but I mean, less experience equals less, quality service, I would think, right?
Yeah, longest tenure drivers tend to have the highest service out there. You have a better relationship with your operations team. They get to know your customers, your processes, and how things work. That naturally, all those things lead to higher service for your customers and higher retention, higher rates that you can provide.
Yeah, all those that you would call like soft costs that actually add up to be more than the hard costs of actually recruiting, right? I mean,
Right.
loss. I mean, those are way more expensive than recruiting, I would think, right? Or can be.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of people don't realize when you really look at the true cost of retention, you not only have to advertise to bring the driver in, spend those resources, getting the advertising, doing the recruiting, all the background checks, all the onboarding costs, but you also have that truck turnover with re-prepping the truck, re-getting that ready and detailed. That
Yeah.
it's thousands and thousands of dollars every time that that driver leaves and you got to replace. And most companies are looking to grow and do more as well. So that just really compounds over time.
Right. So, everybody's always having trouble recruiting, right? And you hear these, you see the memes and the things on LinkedIn and stuff like that, and and they're sad because they're true, right? I mean,
Yeah,
you know, you got you're a recruiter and going into the weekend and like, yeah, I got 10 recruits coming in on Monday. It's going to be great. And then by Sunday night, there's just one. Everybody else is falling off, right? Or something like that. It's a difficult thing out there. In your position, you're recruiting for a and I don't want to demean the truck driver. Truck driving is a skilled profession. There's no doubt, but there are levels of skill. You require a higher skill level at what you guys are recruiting for, right?
absolutely. And that's what I really prefer just with one, the driver market. I'm really glad it seems like the market is shifting more that with COVID, we went wild on pay, wild on these crazy bonus programs. And there was a lot of perceived fluff that we were hearing from drivers and seeing out there that who could throw out the highest bonus program to try to get drivers to jump. And that's where I really love it. C1 Transportation, we're really sectoring in, like you said, on that highly skilled, highly qualified driver that we need to have true professionals out there with the types of freight that we haul and the safety nature of that. So, really isolating down the highest experienced guys and more of that quality focus in our recruiting efforts than in past. It's been more of a quantity. So, shifting that quantity approach to really the highest quality approach is what I really enjoy and where we're at.
Yeah, so that's you mentioned something in it that's very interesting is the fluff, right? The hype that is out there, right? Can you talk about that a bit? Does that make it more difficult for you to recruit, or does it make it easier? What is your approach? I mean, you mentioned the hype, and so I know what you're talking about. Hey, $100,000 bonus to come on and drive with us and earn
Right.
a $1.25 a mile, all this crazy stuff, right? And the keys to the kingdom, and then the drivers get there and they leave because it's just a lipstick on a pig, right? How do you guys recruit, and how does that impact your abilities?
Yeah, one of the things that we did really quick with me coming in is work with the executive team on creating as clear to understand of a pay and compensation package for the drivers. The clearer it is to understand on what the drivers are actually going to see, how your paycheck is calculated, what your fuel discount looks like, safety bonus, things like that. The easier it is for drivers to understand, the easier it is that it's actually we're going to be able to deliver on that. And I don't need some fancy calculator or algorithm to figure out what my paycheck is going to be.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's got to be. I mean, strip it down. They figure out that this is actually good pay, and this is good solid pay, and all this other fluff. It goes away. If you're working at a place that you like to work, and it's they're honest with you, then that's the place to work, right?
Yep. Drivers want to get paid. They want to haul great equipment, and they want to work with people that are going to work with them, treat them with respect. And if you can nail those three, and you've got a good package, then I truly believe that you can win in this market. Even though we're coming out of the freight dip and hopefully on the rise and in the right area, even in this market, you can win if you can nail that stuff.
Yeah, right. From your lips to God's ears, my friend. On coming out of this trough. It's a long one. And it's a deep one. You mentioned that the founder, was an owner operator back in the day, and I mean, you guys grown massively in eight. I mean, 150 trucks in 8 years. That's pretty decent growth. That's pretty nice. I mean, COVID was anomalous, and you probably grew really great, but you guys have retained that through coming into this. Is the culture there? I mean, you're aware that you have competitors, right?
Yeah.
And you're aware of their cultures as well. Do you have a distinct advantage in your culture because of where your owner and founder came from?
Yeah, absolutely. So having people that have been on the road and understand the challenges of the road in strategic locations on our administrative staff. So our owner, our vice president, even our director of operations, and then the head of our fleet have all been owner operators, over the road drivers in their lifetime. So structuring the company, having that understanding of what it really takes to be successful out there on the road. And then also being at a company that didn't just rapidly grow on a bunch of debt during a hot market in COVID, that have
Mm.
done so slowly, steadily, and strategically over 8 years, that is not reckless and is all in the effort of having that good package to sell, is a really good combination for us.
Yeah, gotcha. I like that term reckless because there was a lot of reckless growth. And there were a lot of, you remember the great quit, and everybody was quitting and moving to other jobs and stuff like that during that
Yep.
time. I have multiple tens of friends and colleagues who made those jumps to greener pastures to be dumped into Greece once COVID went away. That's one of the things people, they grew recklessly, like you pointed out, they did. How are you guys surviving the downturn? Are you guys doing well? How's the future look, or how's it look right now for you guys? You're still recruiting heavily, or what?
We're recruiting heavily. We're excited for some heavy truck deliveries of brand new 2025s, with the mix of arming
Nice.
that strategic growth for us this year.
Yeah, fantastic. So, in your market, are you guys more of a? So you guys are is your market, that your vertical, your space in transportation, is it more of a leading indicator to the rest of the business, or is it a lagging indicator? It would seem to me flatbed is pretty leading, right?
Yeah, I think out of all the sectors, I think flatbed is more so leading the leading measures there.
Yeah. Are you guys seeing growth? Are you guys seeing, or is I mean, you obviously, you said you guys are growing there. You see it as market share, or do you see it as organic?
I think it's a mixture of both there.
Really? Well,
Yeah,
that's good. That's excellent. That's excellent. So, how does the impact of the environment in trucking right now and in logistics is changing, right? Obviously, there's
right.
nearshoring and all this stuff going on, and sustainability. Are either of those really impacting you guys greatly, or are you guys mostly just domestic there? As far as the nearshoring, has that changed your lanes or where things are coming from? From port to consignee or cross border Mexico, et cetera. Is that impacting you guys in a noticeable way?
A little bit, but being the nature of our company, we do sector on the OTR style driver of out multiple weeks at a time, and that's what, with that open deck variety, it maintains that more so flexibility that we can lean, and we've got our good customer base, but we can also have that level of flexibility as the market changes, as seasonality with the various flatbed commodities and the open deck commodities change. We have that flexibility with our business model.
I got you. I got you. So, what's on the horizon for you guys? Anything new, exciting that you can speak to, or is it just, hey, man, we're powering down and growing and staying in our lane?
Yep, power down, growing, staying in our lane, and really excited. Just like I mentioned, just getting nice, clean packages that we can recruit to, get the market to, get the word out more about C1 transportation, the great people, the great culture we've got, and arm that with great drivers to come in and help us grow.
Fantastic. Any words of advice to other recruiters, director of recruiters out there?
Absolutely. I'm really passionate about being real with drivers and being real with what you're putting out there. So, getting that data of what you're actually delivering from an operational, from a pay, making sure you have good, accurate information and that cohesiveness with your operations team. That was one of my biggest successes, just coming from a decade of operational background and yelling at the recruiting VP my whole career during that time about the drivers they were bringing in. So, wanted to make sure that we were all aligned on the messaging, the numbers, the delivery, and the details that recruiting is actually what the driver is going to experience.
Yeah. So wait. So okay, I was about to end it, but you brought up something that was very, very interesting. When you're recruiting, you're not just recruiting numbers. You're recruiting a culture and a quality of a driver, right? That's
Yeah, and
important.
absolutely 100%.
Yeah, because I mean, you mentioned that. I just want to. I mean, you mentioned that real quick. Like you were yelling at people about the drivers they were bringing in, and I was thinking, okay, so what you're implying there is that you very much need to be selective because I would imagine that part of turnover rate is bringing in the wrong people.
Yeah, if you're bringing in on false expectations or not delivering, these drivers have good safety records to meet our qualifications. So that comes a double-edged sword. We're going to get high qualified candidates, but they've got options out there that
Yeah,
they could make a
yeah.
phone call and have another job next Monday if they want.
Yeah, they can walk at any moment, so you gotta walk the talk and do it, and that's great. I love it. Being honest, Brad, where do people go? Where are these drivers that? I mean, there's like 17,000. Well, I mean, there's like 80,000 drivers out there watching this show at this moment. Where are they going to apply for you guys?
Yeah, drive4c1.com. So drive number 4c1.com. Check us out and all over social media, continuing to grow that driver engagement and promoting our driver culture, the good, bad, and ugly. No company's perfect, but we're all about making it better and being real.
Fantastic, my friend. I found you on social media, so there you go. Check them out. C1 Transport. Hey, Brad. I loved it, brother. I appreciate it very much, man. Peace and love, my friend.
Yeah, thanks for having me and back at you.